For a set, we are at a tie match at the top. Double gen pop to avoid the deadlock. They do go down. There is a haste status effect. They do have to be careful here. The hatch is going to spawn momentarily. Dead Hard could get them the distance to get it too. Shot.
Really smart play on the ace. Oh my god, getting shot through the window.
No longer have distortion, and they are gonna teleport here. I think they get there in time. Yes!
Oh, the grab! Yes! That is disappointing. This is be a 4-man out because.
Yeah, but they will be able to block this. Yo, getting caught on that. Ace coming with the body block. Oh, they were here.
All right, and we are back. This time with Divinity versus Erasyum for round 3 of Qualifier number 6. This is the be-all, end-all of this match, as we are going to be seeing the winner of this match in Group A. That being said, it is going to be nothing but the S tiers, and I imagine we're going to be seeing a whole lot of the nurse. And sure enough, corrupt intervention there in the distance. Nurse moving up to middle to try and see a survivor from afar. And it looks like they may have found someone over here in this tile. And sure enough, that there is the Claudette. And Nancy to boot. Nurse, though, going for the Claudette instead. They got a whole lot of distance, so potentially a bit of a misplay as they did have the Nancy in their sights. Nancy, though, does not appear to have gotten far, though. Hold on. Who went where? Claudette, once again back here. Maybe I was seeing things, as Claudette will end up going down for the first chase of this match, and that will be the first hook as well, as Corrupt Dimension has been deactivated. Overall, I think this chase only took about 45 seconds before the first down occurred, so really good setup here for the nurse. As S tier matches tend to be, they tend to be nothing but who gets it, who gets the 4K faster, and right now it is looking like Erasyum might be doing just that, as they will get the second down here on the Nancy, and we will see this gen highlighted in yellow as either Eruption or Call of Brine have been applied. Nancy for their first hook as well. Nurse looking around as they did see the ace here a moment ago. Ace, though, potentially going back for the unhook on the Claudette, as Claudette has been unhooked and healed in full. Nurse, though, taking a quick look in basement just in case, but no sign of a survivor. I mean, they right now have all the time in the world, as this Nancy is hanging out next to a regressing Jen. Jen in middle has a little progress. Nurse walking around, surprisingly enough. No blinks here, just taking her time. And we do see the unhook there by the ace. That is BT on the Nancy, activated almost immediately. Nancy with very little distance gain. Nurse going for the swing and the miss. Nancy able to keep things together for just a little bit longer, as you will see the vault and the subsequent down on the Nancy, as the first gen will pop off, revealing deadlock in the pocket of this nurse. Nurse, though, bringing her back over to the generator here. And we will see that it is no longer regressing. These survivors keenly aware of the existence of both Eruption as well as Overcharge, in fact. So we officially know all 4 perks of the Nurse: Corrupt Intervention, Deadlock, Overcharge, and Eruption. The Ace, once again, nowhere to be found, as we will see this gen kicked once again. Eruption, Overcharge apply. That gen will be down to 0 in just a few moments. Erasyum with a very good start here. Ace going in for the unhook. Nurse will not be able to get the down on the Ace. However, Nancy sticking a little bit too close for her own comfort, as Nancy will end up going down before able to get the tile. Without a decisive strike, that there will be Nancy sent back to the campfire. And sure enough, there it is. 1 survivor out of the game with 4 gens remaining. Survivors are going to have to pull out all the stops and really extend the chases to the best of their ability here in order to really put the pressure on the falling survivor team. Deadlock coming in clutch just at the right time, as the gen was about to be kicked with Overcharge and Eruption. Though unable to do so now, Nurse might be in a little bit of pickle, as that main gen might get completed. However, Claudette with the sprint burst, dodging that first hit. Really smart and ballsy play, though it will end up working out for them, as Claudette will double back here. Looks like Claudette knowing how to play against the Nurse. Not saying that the Nancy didn't. However, Nancy did struggle a little bit with those double backs, it would have seemed. So far, no sign of either Kate or the Ace here, as we will see that Overcharge and Eruption apply to the main gen. Nurse will hang out just a bit, as they have seen some scratch marks, trying to identify where the survivor might be, but not really getting a good read on them, as they're going to try and stick by this gen, making sure that it gets regressing as quickly as possible. Survivor's doing a really good job here, even with the Nancy out of the game. These chases taking very, very long. Nurse shortening their blink. Claudette knowing as much. This time, though, taking the hit on the double back. Nurse trying to mind game the mind games. And Claudette will end up going down, as we hear a scream in the background. That there is the Kate, erupted and incapacitated for the next 25 seconds. Claudette here about to go to the middle hook. A really strong place for the Nurse, as they're going to be able to keep a close eye on both the hook and gen alike. Claudette only 60 seconds away before being sent back to the campfire. Crows, though, going off. The Nurse knows someone is near. The question is who? Honestly, if I was the survivors, I'd be sticking to the gens, as we do see the K2 in the distance, trying to get that gen working, but it is not anywhere near close to being completed. Nurse with the blink, getting a beautiful hit there on the Kate, trying to now go back to the main hook before the Ace can get there. And sure enough, she will get there in time, but not in time for the grab, as Ace will go down for the 1-for-1 trade. Looks like Nurse will take advantage of this, though. With these hooks, I'm fully imagining that the Nurse, that the Ace rather, does have Deliverance in hand. So I imagine we'll see an unhook here momentarily once these survivors are able to confirm that she is far enough away. Claudette trying their best to not go down here. Nurse with the misfired blink will not be able to get the down. So far, no self-unhook from the Ace, and the final down on the Claude. Could that be a decisive? We'll have to wait to find out, as Nurse will go back and hit the Ace with their BT. Ace not very far to go and will go back down, as this could be the 3-man slug, as Kate now in chase. If there is no unbreakable in play, which the Claudette will get back up, that there will be the final down. Claudette needs to do something quick. Will they be able to get to the Ace in time with their unbreakable, or will they be able to wait out long enough to try and rob some points from the Nurse with the bleed outs? Nurse taking a look around. taking their time for the slug play. I will say with the new Unbreakable update, the killer will not be able to do the same thing like this anymore. We will not see any more 3 or 4-man slugs. That being said, that there is the final down on the Claudette being sent to the campfire via the basement hook, it looks like. No, actually, going to this hook instead. Now it comes down to the slow and grueling slug race of can these survivors hide out in the corners far enough away from the nurse to rob them of some points. As a full 4 minutes before they bleed out. Ray on the ground long enough to where it's going to take probably 2 minutes. Looks like Kate, though, found before the ace. And this will be the first hook for Kate, so a very good find here for the nurse, as this will be potentially a total of 6 points if there is no deliverance in play. Only time will tell, though, as we have yet to see it this match. So it is not outside the realm possibility if, in instance, the nurse finds the ace. Ace, though, with about 1:30 left on the ground before they bleed out. It will only rob the nurse of 1 point, mind you. However, Ace getting found in the tile. And if there were a deliverance, now would be the time to use it. However, no sign of deliverance from the Kate. That will be the second hook on the Ace. And now we are just waiting for these last few moments before Kate moves to second stage. And with PF Chris, time is ticking away. Nurse looks like to be away from keyboard, so if you were gonna go for it, now would be the time. However, Ray progressing to death, and the Kate not too far behind, so that there will be the 4K for the nurse. Amazing job, to say the least. And that will be 24-4 in Erasyum's favor. We'll have to see if Divinity's killer will be able to do the same. With that being said, we are going to take a quick break while we set up the lobby for trial number 2. That being said, do want to remind everyone here today that yes, you are our sponsor. So all the as they watch, all the bits they tip, all the subs they buy, and now all the rogue energy that you buy as well will go to supporting Champions of Fog and our prize pools for Group A and Group B. With that being said, we'll be back in just a bit. All right, and we are back. Thank you all for your patience as we were getting our final lobby set up. You know, DBD doing DBD things. But with that being said, without further ado, we got Divinity's killer against Erasyum Survivor team. And we are once again going to see the nurse. I mean, it's S tier versus S tier. What you expecting? I mean, though we have seen some pretty cracked out blights, I will say that much. That being said, Nurse blinking towards her corrupted zone, trying to get a read on where these survivors are. They didn't do what I've seen a lot of nurses do, which I've seen some great value out of, which is going to that middle. But we do see this Claudette here out in the outskirts of the map. Nurse trying to get a read on them, ensuring that they can get this first hit without any issue. Nurse gets the swing and the hit, and this survivor is very well aware of the likes of Sloppy Butcher. This nurse wants to slow things down just a minute, as we will see the first hook here on the Claudette. Nurse looking around, trying to see where they're going to go. Looks like they will bypass the basement, instead hooking here within blink distance of the main building. So really good play there so far. And no sign of any of the other survivors. Mind you, these survivors only need to complete 2 gens to tie the match and 3 to claim victory. Erasyum primed to get the W, as we do see Jake here getting kicked off the gen, and that gen will be highlighted in yellow, which could be Colubrine or Eruption. We'll have to wait and see, as Nurse will actually drop chase with the Jake, instead going back towards the unhook, surprisingly enough, allowing the Jake to go back to that gen, as we do hear the heal attempt from the ace on the Claudette, but unable to complete it in time. Claudette out in the outskirts, using their flashlight to the best of their ability. First gen popping off. Claudette will end up going down for potentially the second hook here. Note that Eruption did not go off, so that there was the gen that Jake was on completed before they're able to get the down in time. Second hook here on the Claudette. Deadlock off in the distance. Deadlock, a good choice to slow down the match, but will it be enough here, as that is already on 2 cylinders, about halfway through what these survivors need. Claudette off the hook, and Rebecca with the For the People. Really good play there to ensure no tunnel out Jake being seen, but being left, surprisingly. These survivors, like I said, only need 1 more gen to tie the match. But looking like the Nurse is opting to go for who they believe is the Claudette, instead finding the Rebecca, getting the down with the Eruption. That is a huge play. However, Nurse leaving them slugged out, surprisingly. Instead, going back to this gen, which they saw Jake on so much earlier before. Eruption not off of cooldown, so no highlighted gen there. Jake going for the Palace, unable to do so though, taking the hit. This could be a pretty significant power play if Nurse is able to get the down, but we do see that gen popping off. 2 gens completed. These survivors are 1 gen away from claiming victory. The Nurse playing well, but unfortunately not well enough. And we will still see Jake trying to get them up here to the main building. Will get there in time for their 3rd hook of this match. However, Nurse needs to be careful here. If they allow these survivors any time on the gens, that 3rd gen will be completed. And mind you, Jake's gen was not erupted. meaning that it has not regressed all that much. There's only that 2.5% in addition to the 0.3% per second. However, Rebecca going down very quickly, but once again being left on the ground. Nurse trying to use her as bait to get these survivors off of gens to the best of their ability. I do want to note at this point, though, if Rebecca were to bleed out, that still would secure the victory here for these survivors, as the nurse would get about, what, 3 less points in comparison to the nurse prior from Erasyum. So that is pretty huge, to say the least, as we do see Rebecca getting back up off the ground. Claudette here in front of the nurse. This is a huge find, as Claudette is on death hook. Claudette doing a beautiful job of juking this nurse and getting the pallet stun to boot. We do see a noise notification there in the distance. More like not a missed skill check on the heal on Rebecca, I would imagine. Claudette doing the best of that they can to light burn the nurse, extending the chase just a little bit. There's the blind and the whiff from the nurse, unable to get the down in a quick manner. Claudette doing a great job and using a bit of blocker tech here to extend the chase just a bit. Though Claudette will go down, and Eruption regressing that gen by 10%. I do not think it will be enough, as these survivors have been left to their own devices for quite some time now. However, Claudette will be sent back to the campfire. 3rd gen completed. Erasyum securing their victory with that gen's completion. Now it is all for honor and for pride, as both these teams will play it out to the best of their ability. Barry, taking a look at the gen over here. These survivors done a great job of spreading the pressure across multiple gens. But I'm not sure if the nurse will be able to do much here, as the gens all have a little bit of progress here and there. He's gonna have to go around kicking every single one. I imagine we're gonna see them all highlighted in yellow very soon, as we do see Jake off in the distance, though nurse opting not to go for them. Instead checking this gen over here, but not seeing any survivors nearby. The survivors are playing very carefully. Mind you, if the nurse is able to get it down here, that will be 30% across 3 gens. 10% each, so that will be pretty huge. Not to mention incapacitation status effect across 3 gens for 25 seconds to any survivor who does go down. Jake taking it from the nurse. A good blink there, as Jake tried their best to use the trees to their advantage. However, nurse dropping chase, it would seem, instead going for, I believe, the Rebecca. No, it's the Ace, I think. Nurse getting good prediction blink, but unable to get the hit, instead hitting the environment, and Ace just is going and going until he can go no more. Though it looks like he will take the hit there instead. Nurse getting him into a bit of a corner. Nurse trying to see where he's gonna go. Ace into the corner. Extended chase for just a little bit, as Eruption will go off, regressing the gens by 30%. And we did see 2 incapacitation status effects on both the Jake and the Rebecca. They will not be able to touch gens and or heal until that incapacitation status effect has subsided. Nurse once again going for the slug play, trying to slow these gens down just a little bit. However, kicking that gen a little bit too soon, if the intention was to ensure that Eruption would be applied, they did hit the gen just a little bit too soon. So we'll only be seeing it regress at 2.5%. 2.5% in addition to 0.3% per second. Ace back up off the ground. We do see that Rebecca there. Nurse, though, looking for the Ace, trying to figure out where these survivors are. There's the Jake, still injured, out of medkit usages, it would seem. And Jake will go down. Beautiful prediction blink there by the nurse, as we will see that channel regress by another 10%. And looks like this will be Jake's 2nd hook of the match. Another prime tunnel out target for the nurse here. I will say Nurse doing a pretty good job here, utilizing their slugs to the best of their ability, really slowing down the game with Sloppy Butcher and Deadlock. However, it just was not enough to secure the victory. I think it might come down to this last gen, to be honest. That if the Nurse was just able to apply a little bit more pressure, she may have been able to bring this back. However, now the Survivors on their back foot as they are trying to stealth it out against the Nurse. However, Rebecca getting caught out in the middle of nowhere. Second blink incoming. Rebecca trying to go for the double back, unable to do so successfully as she will take the hit. Nurse with the second blink. Rebecca going to the corner will go down as Eruption will activate on that gen next to the Jake's hook. This here being the first hook for Rebecca, however, so she has plenty of time left on the hook, and we have yet to see a Deliverance in play. Jake, though, will get healed by the ace more likely than not. Nurse making her way back slowly but surely. Though I imagine these survivors are going to try and play it safe and play it stealthy. Ace, though, getting caught out in the middle of nowhere. Ace, mind you, has yet to be hooked. So this is going to be a very good chase here for the Nurse in order to get an additional 3 points. However, that bounce landing getting them a ton of distance. Nurse Blink trying to get there in time for the grab. Will not, though, so this will be a 1-for-1 trade in favor of the Survivors. Rebecca trying to get that body block in, unable to do so, though. BT trying to double back, not get hit. I wonder if this might not be true BT, as Rebecca seeming to slow down a bit. No more haste status effect. There's the misfired blink. And honestly, if I'm the Nurse here, I might just go back for that fresh hook. Though, more concerned with the remaining generators. Instead, going to take a look around for the Jake. Not seeing any progression on that gen. Nor on that gen either. Nurse a bit confuzzled here. Not really seeing much from the Survivors. Questioning what these Survivors have been up to, if much of anything. Yeah, these gens just no progression. The Survivors have just been on the ground for a bit too long, and I don't know if you saw what I saw, but that there was a crow returning to the nearby area, signifying the ace, and ace will end up going down. However, Nurse once again opting not to go for the pickup, really just trying to ensure that no one is on gens at all points in time. Honestly, good practice here for the Nurse in this type of scenario, trying to keep these Survivors to as few gens as possible. Rebecca going back to this pallet, going for the double back, and Rebecca will go down. Rebecca about to be put on hook for the second time here, this time up in the main hook. Next is generator, very little progression. Ace back up, very unlikely to be unbreakable, so Jake is now nearby. Nurse taking a look at the gens, knowing where the ace was slugged, will go back for it, trying to get a read on where these two Survivors are. The game is definitely slowed down just a little bit, but maybe not slow enough for the Nurse's liking, as they're unable to get any bit of information for where these Survivors are. May have seen something, trying to keep an eye out. But so far, not anything within line of sight. Everyone but the ace has been hooked. Still potential for a Deliverance on the ace. Looks like Nurse will stick by this hook. Keep an eye on all the gens. Honestly, a very strong positioning on Sanctum of Wrath here for the Nurse, or any killer for that matter. Survivors put into quite the predicament, as they are going to camp this Rebecca out. They do see a Survivor right there. We see them. However, Rebecca progresses to death, being sent back to campfire. There's the Jake. Nurse with the fine eagle eye, as she was able to see exactly where the Jake was through that wall. Jake getting slugged out, and now it comes down to the ace. where we do see some blood trailing away. And looks like this will be very similar to last match. The last chase of this match will end with a slug on the ground. Ace and Nurse trying to mind game each other here. Ace getting mind game for the true M1 down on the Nurse. And that will be the first hook for Ace. Not bad at all. Nurse opting to go for the camp in order to avoid the deliverance play. I mean, Nurse has already lost the tier, and so realistically speaking, Survivor going for the hatch would not really mean all too much. I will say this is a full 60 seconds she's going to have to wait, meaning that she'll only have roughly a minute and 30 left before she will have to find the Jake in order to avoid the bleed out. Though I will say Jake on death hook, so Nurse actually loses 0 points here by leaving the Jake on the ground. But very well played by both sides here. And yeah, this here will just be the last and final moments in this match as Nurse will wait things out for just a little while longer. The Entity's claws forming around the Ace, signifying second stage. If Ace is going to make the decision to deliverance, now is the time to do so. But looks like that will be that. Looks like Nurse is seeing if maybe the Jake making a desperate play for a hatch, though. Looks like Jake is nowhere to be seen. Nurse potentially instead going to go out on the prowl for the slugged out Jake. Once again, though, Nurse could theoretically leave Jake on the ground and still get full points here, as Jake has already been hooked 2 times. This is where I also will say it'll be interesting in comp to see what the built-in Unbreakable will look like if they keep it as it is, as it will avoid these type of scenarios. Because Jake has been on the ground for nearly 4 minutes now. I imagine to the chagrin of all involved. But with the Ace's death imminent, it looks like we will be on a bit of the slug race unless Jake has adrenaline, in which case that'll give him a second chance for going for the 1 man out. It would result in a 3K11 hook in favor of Erasyum nonetheless, or sorry, in favor of Divinity. Yeah, it'd still be in favor of Erasyum nonetheless, but looks like no adrenaline. Roughly 30 seconds or so on the bleed out timer. But I do not foresee the Nurse finding the Jake anytime soon. He has had way too much time on his hands to crawl about. The slug, not wanting to be found, will probably be hiding underneath a rock at this point. Oh, but I don't know if you heard what I heard. I hear a Jake, and that there will in fact be the final hook of this match and the final hook of qualifiers for season number 5 of Champions of the Fog. And is with my pleasure here to welcome Erasyum to Group A and the final spot of Champions of the Fog. With that being said, we do have 1 week of time before now and Season 5 begins. Group A will have the best of the best. You will see them here on Saturday, starting at 12 p.m. CST. The time blocks go 12, 2, 4, and 6. If they're reschedules, we will let you know. Otherwise, we'll also be here at 12 p.m. CST on Sundays for Group B, where 16 teams will duke it out. We are partnering with Pugdom, where they'll be taking one half of Group B and we'll be taking the other. So it should be a good old time. With that being said, we will see you all in 2 weeks' time for Champions of the Fog Season 5. Mark your calendars, as Rue and I and all of our co-hosts and staff will be here. With that being said, thank you all for joining us for qualifiers. We will see you soon. Bye-bye!